So Lake of Shadows is back as the Grandmaster Nightfall, and we're making an updated guide to this because number one, we do have a new sandbox. And number two, the Nightfall boss for this strike did get a buff in his health, as I think many of us were memeing on this strike as being the easiest strike in the game. But despite that health bump, the boss here is still pretty squishy with the right setup. Now, a couple things have changed about this strike. Number one, you cannot skip those blights. Previously, you could actually run through there and skip the blights, make it all the way to the end, and this would actually cause all the ads to not spawn in. Now though, you have to go to this strike, taking out each blight one at a time, dealing with all the ads that are spawning in front of you. So Bungie did patch that. What they did not patch though is that midsection right after the bridge where you got to go past the catwalks heading into the boss area. You can still skip that champion in this section. Now you still have to kill the unstoppable down below, but you can skip the champion that's in between the section and still get platinum on this Nightfall. Now loadout wise, we tried a couple of things today. Number one, we did give Malfeasance and Lucky Pants a go. Les and I were both rocking Malfeasance. That increase in damage against taken enemies and that buff there with Lucky Pants is super nasty. We utilized this same build before in the master version of this Nightfall, and I never actually used it in the Grandmaster, but I was extremely impressed with how well this build actually worked. Now, Bombat was rocking a Witherhoard, and we showcased this a few weeks ago, but essentially Witherhoard's damage is buffing that of Malfeasance because something about the blinding of Witherhoard actually converts whatever enemy is that you're hitting, the game thinks it's a taken enemy. Now, Bombat did use Witherhoard, but to be honest with you, you don't have to use Witherhoard here because all these enemies are already taken. So you don't even need Witherhoard for that buff there. However, Witherhoard is still a fantastic weapon option here in this strike. Now, a couple of things that I was utilizing for my build, one being the mod Thermoclastic Strike and Withering Heat. Now, this combination here is really, really good. Essentially, Withering Heat applies a very large debuff to champions that you hit with solar abilities. I'm taking advantage of Top Tree Gunslinger, which allows me to throw that explosive knife. On top of that, if I happen to hit an overload champion, it will stun them. So we get a stun, a complete refresh of our melee ability when we stun, and we apply that debuff. You can see where the damage here is substantially increased. Now, the champions that you're going to be dealing with in this Nightfall include overload champions and unstoppable champions. You're also going to be dealing with all elemental types, Arc, Void, and Solar. And despite Malfeasance being a great option, we did give Gjallarhorn a go. Considering this is the 30th anniversary, I actually had not used Gjallarhorn in Grandmaster Nightfalls, and my god, did it wreck everything. Now let's continue to use Malfeasance as well as a hothead rocket launcher, and that was essentially because Gjallarhorn and his exotic traits allows for the weapon to apply Wolfpack rounds to legendary rockets. Now personally, I find Galley to just absolutely crap all over everything. It is bar none the best exotic rocket launcher in the game. Even when it just comes to ad clearing, just clearing big swarms of ads, Galley does it with ease. It's funny because Bungie actually stated they didn't want Gjallarhorn to come back too strong, and we know that it's not the best in terms of damage, but in terms of ease of use, the fact that it can also hold 2 rockets and it's got Wolfpack rounds, yeah, it's nasty. My only suggestion when rocking Gjallarhorn on your team is that whoever it is that's not rocking Gjallarhorn, they probably need to rock Aeon Gauntlets. Now, we did do a couple of runs without Aeon Gauntlets and Sect of Insight, and I think I still had enough ammo. I just had to be a little bit conservative, but if you do have Aeon Gauntlets on your team, whoever it is, as long as they're getting finishes off on champions, you'll have a nice steady supply of heavy ammo. Now, I continue to rock Lucky Pants, but considering my exotic slot is being taken up by Gjallarhorn, I actually was using the 7th Seraph Officer Revolver and the one that is being sold this week by the Gunsmith. It comes with Time Payload as well as Threat Detector. Guys, this is a fantastic roll. I highly suggest going to the Gunsmith, picking this up. I know there are other rolls out there like a Vorpal version of 7th Seraph that I also have, and I very much like that roll, but Explosive Payload or Time Payload is fantastic for clearing ads. Now, the rest of the mods you're going to want to use includes all of the above, like Charge with Light, Protective Light. I actually was rocking High Energy Fire here, simply because I felt like my survivability overall is all right. Now, going through the Nightfall again, in the beginning here, you have some Centurions that actually spawn there on the left side, and a number of Scions there on the right. You definitely want to deal with those Centurions first, as they send those tracking orbs out to kill you. They do have arc shields, so have someone with an arc weapon and immediately gun them down. Again, I like to use blinding grenades here, which does a fantastic job of just stunning them. Deal with the Scions though, then deal with this unstoppable champion. Again, if you are rocking things like Withering Heat and you're on the Hunter class, always be using it. Throw the knife, apply that debuff, use your dodge to get your melee back. Now, after dealing with that champion and dealing with the blights, and again, stand on these blights when you're shooting them, as you won't take any damage. You're gonna then have a sniper up top, as well as an overload champion. I would suggest getting a stun off, and then just using 2 Gallahorn shots to take them out quickly. Again, all these champions, pretty much 2 Gallahorn shots will take them out. Deal with all the thrall, you'll have 2 unstoppable champions coming down. And what I actually like to do with these 2 unstoppable champions is throw a solar grenade. I've got swarm grenades here. And again, any solar ability with withering will apply that debuff. So it doesn't have to just be your melee. That's just an easy one. But anytime you need to apply solar to say champions that are grouped together, throw your grenade out. You'll then have an overload champion after this blight. Get a finish off here if you need to refresh heavy ammo for your team. And then you have a large swarm of enemies out here, including captains that are being shielded. It's a big cluster. And nothing handles a cluster better than a single shot from Galley. Dude, just shoot a Galley shot in there, guys. You'll be amazed how quickly it clears everything. Now, you want to bait these unstoppable champions. You're going to have 2 of them. You want to bait them to you. Again, do the same thing that you did with the other 2 unstoppable champions. Apply some solar abilities, get withering heat and that debuff off, and clean them up quickly with Galley or other means. And again, the beautiful thing about rocking what I'm rocking right here, Lucky Pants, 7 Seraph, or in Les's case, Malfeasance, is even if you do run out of ammo for your heavy, dude, Lucky Pants with one of these 180 round per minute hand cannons does hella good damage. So do damage with it. Now deal with this 3rd and final blight and then move up, and you'll have 2 overload champions that spawn up in the back, as well as a little mini boss there that spawns there in the middle. I actually like to take out the trash ads first, including that mini boss in the middle, and then work on the 2 overloads from behind. Upon dealing with these guys, you'll then push through, and this is when you really want to have someone on your team rocking Invis. Les was rocking bottom tree. He would then throw the smoke on all of us and give us an Invis, and we would immediately push down. Now, normally I would pop a super here on the bottom just to clear out all the ads and to feed any orbs if necessary. For both Les, who's rocking Tether, and Bombad, who's rocking Well of Radiance. Now, push on through. You'll have 2 unstoppables here, and this is honestly the part that can really mess you up, as it's kind of hard to stun both of those, especially if only one person on your team is rocking unstoppable. Now, Les is rocking a fusion rifle, and he was using unstoppable fusion for him, but essentially I would just run in there, throw my grenade down, apply the debuff, and then shoot off a Gallahorn shot. Somebody else does the same thing. You'll be amazed how quickly both of these champions will die. Now, Les would normally open up with a super right here, pop his tether, and clearing out all the ads here on this first part of this bridge, and then we would actually move up and jump up on that top catwalk. Now, you're gonna have an overload champion directly in front of you, and as you get better with your explosive knives, it's really not that hard landing that knife, at least on this first champion. This will allow you to apply that debuff and make them easy work. There is another champion that is across on the bottom catwalk area with the Vandal next to him. I would highly suggest you and your fire team when dealing with this one, because you're probably not going to get a solar ability off on this champion. Just everyone shoot a rocket off to deal with this champ. This will clean that Vandal up alongside that champion, and you really want to kill both of those guys at the same time, or at least kill the one that's nearest to that champion, as that Vandal will spawn that shielded geyser that you cannot penetrate even with Gallahorn. Now, upon dealing with that champion, you want to move down, move to the left, deal with all the scions that are spawning, and then deal with the champions that are in front of you. You've got an overload and an unstoppable here, and this is a great opportunity to just throw some solar abilities out, proc withering heat, shoot a Gallahorn shot or 2 off in there, and let it do its job. Now, pushing on through, this is the area that's really going to save you a lot of time. You've got an unstoppable champion down below, as well as a number of ads. This is actually a great time to get a finish off on this unstoppable. Whoever it is that's rocking Aeon gauntlets, go ahead and top off your heavy ammo, and then proceed to push past everything. Now, if you're fast enough, you can push past everything with just 1 smoke. We didn't like to take unnecessary risks a lot of times, so normally we would actually get a smoke off there at the bottom, and then proceed to go up to the midsection and get another smoke off, and then push up to that final level. Now, you'll have a knight that spawns, as well as a number of ads. Deal with those guys, and then push on through, and you'll have a wizard here with a void shield. Pop that void shield. This wizard is really not that tanky, but deal with that wizard and then push on through. You have a number of thrall that spawns here, as well as an overload champion that's just tucked there in the back. Again, great champions here that are singled out to get finishes off. Now, a number of trash ads are going to be between you and the next champion. Deal with those trash ads, and then move up to deal with these champions. Whoever it is that's rocking withering heat, great opportunity to go ahead and get that debuff procced, and it's easy cleanup and finishes for this champion, as well as the overload champion right before you drop down into the boss room. Now, the boss room itself, it's got that blight there in the middle, as well as the knight and thralls. Deal with both of those guys, jump on top of this blight, shoot it out, and then the boss will spawn. Now, I know the boss here has got more health, but guys, Gallahorn makes easy work here. We're standing in a well of radiance. Les is popping his tether. Grass is getting hit both with a buff and a debuff, and a lot of Wolfpack rounds, and it just makes quick work of them. I actually think the strike is a little easier now, because the moment you actually kill Grass, everything in the room despawns. Whereas before, if y'all remember, a lot of the ads will still be spawned in, and they could still kill you. So you'd have to kind of play survivor for like the last 15 to 20 seconds. But upon killing the boss, everything immediately despawns, and the weapons that are dropping this this week includes the Swarm and Palindrome, both Adepts. So guys, good luck this week. Somebody asked me a number of times, Cross, if you could choose your God roll Palindrome, what would it be? Personally, right now, I would love a rangefinder killing wind roll, or even a rangefinder quick draw roll. I know quick draw got a nerf, but it's still very nice, especially if you're rocking this alongside a weapon that you're swapping off and onto. Yes, at one time I did have the God roll Pally, but who knows? Maybe this week we'll land that God roll. I will say, guys, if you missed our video where we talk about weapon crafting and actually our prediction for weapon crafting, feel free to check that out, guys. There'll be a link to that in the description below, but essentially it's my rough take on what I hope to see from weapon crafting and potentially perfected weapons. So check it out. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.